Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Are you going to say good morning? No, you're laying down. There is an Eric here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday. If you are watching, as always, please do pop a hello in the comments so that I know that I'm not talking to myself. And I've lost the power of speech already. That's not a good start. You're going to say good morning to everyone. No, I'm just going to sit on the chair. Good morning, Jay, from frosty Cornwall. It is cold and chilly out here today. No frost, but we do have quite a little microclimate in our garden, so no frost here. Good morning, Christine. Doing. Good morning, Petro. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Sue. I'm just having my hand licked. Good morning, Christine. Love how your house is developing. Love your colour choices. Thank you. It's very bright in here this morning. I am actually sitting in the kitchen. It's very pale blue, the walls, but where the sunlight is so bright this morning, it looks quite white. It's a nice blue. Thank you, Christine. Good morning, Anne. Much frost here. It's that time of the year, isn't it? Good morning, Beck. Good morning, Sue. Are you comfortable there? Yeah, good. Good afternoon, Jill from us over in Australia. Some storm just beginning to roll in, which will cool things down. It's currently a hot 41 degrees C. It's not warm here. It's really not warm here. But it's February in England, so, you wouldn't expect anything else. You go to sleep. Sue says, good morning to Pete and Eric. Pete is upstairs, working hard. I'm downstairs. And I've got Eric next to me, haven't I? You're right there. You are a little bit long to be sitting in the chair. Your butt hangs off the edge. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Xenia. Give Eric an extra cuddle. He's going to sit looking out the window now at the birds. He's on fox patrol. Likes to chase the foxes out the garden. Good morning, Claire. New kitchen looks good. Yeah, it's nearly there. Not quite finished yet, but it's nearly there. Just needs the finishing touches and a working dishwasher. But that's a very long story that we won't get into. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Elizabeth. Xenia says Eric's cute. He is. He's a total git, but he's cute. Jill, house is looking gorgeous. Love the way the light is coming in. Thank you. It is very nice. It's a bit echoey in here, actually. Very nice to have the kitchen opening into the dining area and then into the garden. It is, and the garden's done now too. It's all landscape and it's looking fab. You're a bit long for that chair, aren't you? Good morning, Jane. Maria, I am in a different part of the house. I'm sitting at the dining table at the end of the kitchen, looking out onto the garden. It's lovely sunlight, blue skies, lovely sunlight. Freezing cold out there, not in here. Freezing cold out there, but it's nice. It's nice and sunny. That's the idea, was to be able to sit here and look at the garden. So getting there. So I have a confession. Good morning, Holly. I have a confession. I spent all day yesterday thinking yesterday was Wednesday, when in fact it was Thursday. It was only as I went to bed that Pete mentioned that it was Friday today. So I have no script. I had an idea in my head what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm going to run with. So we'll be winging it this morning with your help, of course, which is one of the other reasons why I'm down in the kitchen. I was going to do household magic from in the kitchen anyway. Oh, I have a dog on my lap now. So that's what we're going to run with. So all ideas and insights welcome, as always. We'll just wait for Eric to keep turning round and round until he's comfortable. Good morning, Jackie. It's a bit long for the dining room chair. You're right there. Good morning, B. Xenia, maybe Eric wants to contribute. Yeah, he likes to be a part of everything. So obviously I've talked about kitchen witchcraft a lot, and I've written about it a lot. It is my pathway, my main pathway. Bit of hedge witch thrown in, bit of other bits and pieces. But kitchen witchcraft is what I do. So I'm very comfortable talking about kitchen witchcraft, and have done in the past on numerous occasions. And magical food, obviously. Love a bit of magical food. But I wanted to focus today on following on the household magic theme, using items that you find in the kitchen for magical purpose, whether it is as a magical tool or whether you use them in a spell for magic. So slightly different to the kitchen witchcraft. Are you not going to settle? So if you have any thoughts, as I thought, if I come down in the kitchen, I can actually look and see what we've got in the kitchen, and we can come up together with magical uses for them. Are you comfortable now? That's apart from the dog who's in the kitchen. He's gone to sleep. That's good. Good morning, Susan. So yeah, any item, have a look around if you're in the kitchen and suggest items, and we'll go through them and see what magic we can work with them. So the first thing that popped into my head was a wooden spoon. And I have several wooden spoons. Who's got a favourite wooden spoon? Do you have a favourite one? Or is that just me? I've got old ones, I've got new ones, but I've got one that is very worn and smooth. The new wooden spoons tend to be quite rough. I've got an old wooden spoon that's worn and smooth around the edges, and it has seen every type of recipe, from rice puddings to curry. And it's my favourite one. It's the one that I go to. But wooden spoon, I think, to me, is perhaps a bit of an obvious one, because it makes a wand. Wooden spoon makes a perfect magic wand for directing your energy. But I also thought outside the box a bit. What do you do with a wooden spoon? You stir. So there is the use of stirring clockwise to bring positive energy in, stirring anti-clockwise to remove negative energy, to release negative energy. But then I also began to think about stirring, because that's what you do with a spoon. But then if you think about stirring up trouble, stirring the pot, stirring things around, I think you could use it in magical workings to stir up a bit of trouble, if that's what you desire. But I think you could also use it in spell working to stop people from stirring up trouble, a kind of preventative spell. I think it would work quite well with as well. That's just my point of view. Jackie says, I'm not the one that cooks, so not got a favourite anything from the kitchen. Oh, no. How lovely. I love baking, not so fussed about cooking. It's a chore, really, but there you go. Jill has a 30-year-old, let's get some of these up, 30-year-old wooden spoon. I might need my other hand, Eric. I have a 30-year-old wooden spoon that was wedding presents, outlasted the marriage, but still useful. Yeah, mine must be ancient too. It's funny, isn't it, the things that we hang on to. Jane, we'll come back to that one. Jane, the swirling of a stirred pot looks like a lot like a chakra in action. I like it, yes. Stirring, you're moving, isn't it? Movement. A spoon could be used in magic spells for movement as well. Yes, and to align with chakras, I like it. Maria just popped into her head too. Good morning, Eva. Nikki says, mortar and pestle, another very useful. Now, I have two mortars and pestles. That's not easy to say. I have one for culinary use. So I have one that I keep in the kitchen for herbs and spices and making garlic, squishing up your garlic, smushing your garlic. But then I have a mortar and pestle for magical purpose as well, and I keep them separate. There's a health and safety reason, really. If you are mixing up things for spells and potions, you may often use things that are a bit toxic or not edible. mistletoe berries, for instance. You don't want to be smashing up mistletoe berries one day and then making your mix for your chai latte next day in the same mortar and pestle. You need to keep things separate when you're using culinary and poisonous things, because, you know, no one wants to go to prison for accidentally killing someone. So I do have 2 separate mortar and pestles, purely for safety reasons. But mortar and pestle is an interesting one too. You can obviously use it for making sachet powders, incense blends, herb mixes to roll your candles in. It is really useful. If you haven't got a mortar and pestle, you can use the bowl and the end of a wooden rolling pin. That works really well. But it is a useful tool to have in the kitchen or in your witchy space. But thinking about using it for a magical spell, it crushes things, doesn't it? It grinds and it crushes. I'm thinking about being ground down, perhaps releasing as well would work, because when you crush things, you release their energy. They're usually quite hefty too. I don't know what that means, and the actual cup part of it is quite chalice-like, isn't it? So, and of course, female and male. The mortar and pestle represent female and male, so you could use it for that as well. Very, very useful tool. Very useful tool. Christine says, I just bought a magical air fryer. Everyone seems to be buying these now. My daughter has one too. Great for drying and making chips in hardly any oil. My favourite wooden spoon I have has a 4-leaf clover from when I lived in lovely Ireland and brings magic into my mind. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, air fryers seem to be the thing at the minute, don't they? Yeah, Eva has 2 mortar and pestles too. One for the kitchen, one for incense. It's just a little bit safe. Definitely a little bit safe. Jane found a brilliant pestle and mortar in a chazza last week. For anyone that doesn't understand, that's charity shop or thrift shop for America. Pestle is mushroom shaped and fits closely in the mortar, so it really means business. Perfect. Charity shops are really good for things like that. I think people think they're very nice to have in their kitchen and they're going to use it, and they never do, so they chuck it out. So yeah, definitely worth looking in charity shops for things like that. Claire, like the spoon idea, freezer and sea salt. Can you tell dealing with difficult upstairs neighbours? Yeah, the spoon would be good for that, wouldn't it? Because you're stirring up trouble. So you could work it into a spell to bring protection for that, or to reverse that. That would work, definitely. Jane says, the grinding surfaces I left unpolished makes it even more kick-ass. I have the big one I use in the kitchen, has a rough grinding surface. It's very useful. Maria, my cooking mats, which I use for different types of food, protecting the food and surfaces from contamination. Yes, can you tell I'm not using a mouse and I'm just using the little pad thing? I'm a bit rubbish with it. Yeah, I thought about that as well, and I thought about chopping boards. So I have got wooden chopping boards. But the mats are the same, aren't they, for, chopping things on, protecting the food. You've got trivets as well, which protect your surfaces from heat when you put pots and things on them. But chopping boards, I thought, would be interesting. You could use a chopping board or a cooking mat for an altar. So if you got or wanted a little kitchen altar, you could put a chopping board in one corner and use it as your little altar. Chopping board as well, it provides protection, protects your surfaces from the knife marks, so I think it could be used quite well as protection. Shield of some sort, maybe too. If it's wooden, then you've also got the element of earth as well, which you have with a wooden spoon. That's got the element of earth as well. Chopping boards, to me, protection is the first thing that springs to mind for me for that, or using it as an altar. You could use, I've got a few tiles left over as well from the work, and I'm going to use those on my altar as well. Let's have a look. I have got lots of comments here and they've all disappeared up the page. Right. B has an air fryer. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit of air fryer envy here. Also has a dehydrator mode, which I use for drying herbs, citrus fruits, berries, and such. Brilliant, fantastic idea. In addition to Jackie, my favourite kitchen item is my espresso maker jug. Brews magical potions for me and hisses like a dragon when the steam comes out. Very magical. We have our first coffee machine because I am a bit of a lightweight when it comes to coffee. So we bought one specifically for making lattes. But I like the idea of it hissing like a dragon. It does make that noise, doesn't it? I hadn't associated it with a dragon. That's brilliant, dragon energy. But that kind of leads me to coffee grinders. I have got a coffee grinder. I never put coffee beans in it. I use it for grinding herbs and spices, and it's absolutely brilliant for that. It does them to a really nice fine powder if you want them for sachet powders. So coffee grinder is definitely very useful for that. Coffee machine. Well, we talked about coffee last week and how magical that is. And it is about a big boost of energy. So your coffee machine is basically an energy machine, but it also works with water. So it's got the element of water, and it also works with fire because it works by electricity or gas, depending on what type of coffee machine you've got. I mean, the one you put on the hob. So you've got the fire element in there as well. Very useful. And of course, it makes coffee. Leslie says, charity shops are magic. Good morning, Leslie Ann. Yes, they are indeed. Definitely worth investigating. We went to one at the weekend and got a glass cheese dome for Pete, and I got a very nice 1920s glass dish, which I don't think they realised it was from the 1920s because it was very cheap. I was a little bit excited about it. Nikki, I have an excuse now to buy another Mortar and Pestle. Yes. Oh, always excuses for shopping. Definitely. Well, it's health and safety. One for the kitchen, one for magic. It is. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Tess. You don't have to apologise for being late. We're talking about household magic in the kitchen. Nikki, vegetable peeler. Yes, interesting one. Now that for me says Athame, whether you use one or not. I would go with vegetable knife for Athame, but an Athame isn't usually sharp. If you're going to be waving it about, casting circles or doing whatever you want with it, I think a vegetable peeler is possibly safer to use in place of an Athame. Ceremonial knife, whatever you want to call it. But I think as well, think about what you do with it. You peel vegetables, and as you peel the vegetables, you're taking off their outer skin. You're taking off the negative layer. So if you're peeling vegetables, you can actually work a releasing negative energy spell. So peel your vegetables, and as the peel comes off, visualize that negative energy releasing, letting go, and of course then you can gather it all up and put it in the compost heap or the trash, so you can literally remove it all. So the vegetable peeler is really, really good for releasing negative energy or removing negative energy, or waving about like an Athame if you want to. Let's get down here. We're going off a complete tangent now. That's what I call those people in the street trying to get money out of you for charity. Chazzers, charity muggers. I think they're just doing what they, need to do. Although some of them do get a bit aggressive. Chuckers. I've never heard that, Jane. Never heard them called that. Here we go, Beck. Yes, here's a challenge. I was thinking about this last night when I realised today was Friday. And I'm actually looking at this because the toaster's just there. Can we work magic with a toaster? Apart from the magic of silence when the family are munching toast in the morning, or the ping as it jumps up in the air. That's from Practical Magic, isn't it? Practical Magic, there's a scene where the aunts pretend they're not working any magic at all. They're just making toast, and 2 pieces of toast pop out of the toaster. I think you have got the electricity, so you've got the element of fire. You can work magic with bread. bread's got its own whole magical meanings. But you've got that heat. So for me, the toaster is really about fire energy. And if anybody's got any thoughts on this, pop them in the comments. Love to read them out. Let's share. Let's, I'm not going to do all the work. It's interactive. Come on. Let's have your ideas. But I think for me, toast is the popping up bit, isn't it? It's the ping, I'm ready. I don't quite know how you'd work that into magic. Energy, maybe. You could divination. You could ask a question or repeat a question. And as soon as the toast pings up, that's your cue. Just off the top of my head here. But it is a very, very fiery energy for me. You can also draw sigils and symbols into your bread, carve it into your bread before you put it into the toaster. I haven't tried that. I'm going to have to try that now. I'm going to have toast afterwards and see whether it actually comes out of the toaster with the mark in it. Christine, toaster's surprise magic. It is, isn't it? Definitely. Jane, strainers are good. Strainers, colanders, yes. Sieves, they're the opposite of dream catchers. You can swirl them around, catch all the biggest lumps of negativity and chuck them out the back door. Perfect. Love it. And you've got, I think with that as well, you are working with water, because normally when you strain something, it's vegetables that have been boiling. So you drain away the water, and water's very heavily linked to emotions, isn't it? So you could visualize releasing and letting go of all the negative emotions with that. That would work very well. Sue's showing off now. Look, she's got 3 mortar and pestles. One's so big and heavy, I can't pick it up. Some of them are, aren't they? Some of them are, but the big ones are beautiful. Hi, Rachel. Please, people, you don't have to apologise for being late. I won't give you detention. I'll make you sit in the corner. I won't. Hi, Marjorie. Marjorie's apologising too. You don't have to apologise. Maria, love it. Maria uses wooden spoons and pans whilst cooking as drums to music. Music raises energy too, doesn't it? We've talked about music before, and it really does raise the energy. I used to give the kids pots and pans and wooden spoons to sit on the kitchen floor while I was making the dinner. They loved it. But you're raising energy with that, aren't you? You are really raising the vibrations that you could use to then direct to wherever it needs to go. So perfect. Jill says, what about air energy from the toast? But I like it. Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's like, I've arrived. Brilliant. Nikki says a whisk. Yeah, that's real heavy energy mixing, isn't it? That's really mixing. But do you think that's mixing, bringing things together? Whisking things together, because that really does incorporate things, doesn't it? It brings that energy together. You could use a whisk to stir things up again, but I'm thinking you could use the whisk to bring situations together, to bring people together after arguments or disagreements. So if you're whisking ingredients together, you are incorporating them, you're bringing them all together as one. So that would work. Brilliant. Keep the ideas coming. Love it. Xenia says, putting your intention into the toast, and it gets a lot of energy during toasting. And when it pops up, the spell is done very energetically. Like it. That's like a spell on a timer. It's like, put your intention into the bread, put it in the toaster, let the spell do its work. And when it pops up, it's done. I like it. Instant spell. I am going to have toast now, though. Let's talk about toast. I like that, Xenia. That's brilliant. Let's go to Christine. I'm thinking about which magical thing I use in the kitchen. It's got to be the dishwasher. I don't want to talk about dishwashers. It's a sore subject. How clever mine is, because I put in dirty dishes and they come out lovely and shiny. I wouldn't know. I've never used one. Our first new dishwasher was delivered at the end of November. That was the first one. That's all broken. They finally sent a replacement. That's broken. That doesn't work either. So we're still sitting here with a broken dishwasher. So I've never used one. But yes, it is magic, and that uses water, so the element of water, and it uses electricity. So you've got the element of fire there as well. You put salt in dishwashers too, don't you? So you've got the element of earth as well. You're not comfy. Brilliant. Bringing in quite a lot of the elements as well, and yeah, magic, because you could also put you could draw symbols and sigils on plates and cups, and then let the dishwasher wash away the negative energy, or let the water wash away the symbol or the sigil to activate the magic. Dishwasher magic, I like it. Whenever I get one that actually works. Hi Jenny, Mum likes her crust cut off her toast, so the crusts go out to the bird table. That's very posh, having your crust cut off. So I think maybe working that energy for gratitude, having enough to share with our feathered friends. I like it. I always see feeding the birds as offerings to Mother Nature, offerings to deity, offerings to the birds. So yeah, that would work really well. It is about being thankful, it is about being grateful and having enough to share. Perfect. I love it. Xenia, also putting the unwanted energy into the litter bin and then carrying the litter out mindfully, releasing that unwanted energy. That's a good point there, Xenia. We are very used to just chucking things in the bin, and it is a good place to put things if you want to get rid of them. But bear in mind that quite often, if you've got a bin in your kitchen, it sits there for a bit. So if you've actually worked a spell and you've thrown it... Are you upset about something? If you've actually worked a spell and thrown it in the bin, be mindful that that bin's still sitting in your kitchen. If I'm doing that, I would actually take this spell out to the dustbin outside so that it's then out of your house. But bins work very well for that, don't they? If you've got a compost bin, then even better. You're just not comfy, are you? It's because you're too big for the chair. Oh, I like that, Marjorie. Drizzling honey on my toast as a protection. Right, toast and honey. It's going to have to be toast and honey as my second breakfast. Yeah, I mean, we're into magical food there. You can draw all sorts of sigils and things, symbols on with honey and ketchup and syrup and all sorts of things. Toaster magic, forgetting it's turned on and pulling it towards yourself with your fingers. Electrocution magic. Do not try that at home. We don't want people electrocuting themselves. Excuse me, I'm still struggling with colds and stuff. Not the nasty one, just a normal one. Jenny has 6 mini pestle and mortars I bought for incense making with the goddess group. Did I win? Did I win? Yes, 6. Do we have any raise on 6? Jenny, I think you might have won there. I like the idea of having little mini pestle and mortars for incense, though. That's really cool. Nikki says, can you use the extractor fan to remove negative energy? Now, I've never had an extractor fan before. We have one now in the kitchen. Thank you to our lovely builder. I didn't think we were going to be able to have one because the cooker's on an inside wall, but they extracted it all across the ceiling and out the wall. So it's fabulous. Yes, that would work brilliantly, wouldn't it? To work your spell, turn on the extractor fan and just let it suck out all the negative energy. I like it. And you're using the element of air there as well, which ties into it. Yes, brilliant. I do like the extractor fan. I'm quite impressed with that. Good morning, Barbara. Sue says, I have a magic toaster. Put in a whole bagel this morning and only half popped out. Still cannot find the other half. Offerings. It was a sacrifice. whatever magic you were working required the sacrifice of half a bagel. You're not comfortable, are you? Come sit here. Yeah, so that's your sacrifice, is half a bagel. That serves you right for eating bagels because they're nasty. Not my favourite things, I must admit. Yeah, there's definitely a sacrifice there, Sue. Christine, whisk's great for raising. Yes, like it, because you have to put a lot of action into whisking things. Which brings me to the food mixer. Has a whisk on it, obviously. You could work up quite a nice cone of power with your food processor, couldn't you? Your electric whisk. That's modern witchcraft, isn't it? Raising a cone of power with a electric food mixer. Brilliant. Yes, absolutely brilliant for raising energy. I like it. Yeah, Jane's agreeing. Food processor going full pelt would raise loads of energy. Absolutely. I can see us all now switching on our food mixers to make that cone of power. Brilliant. Nikki says, is there a magic spell so you cut your toast straight? To be fair, I don't often make toast, Nikki. Pete makes it for me. I'm actually not allowed near the loaves of bread. Apparently, I never cut them straight. So I'm not allowed near them. So Pete's in charge of that. I think actually one of the keys to that is to have a sharp knife. A sharp, proper bread knife is one of the keys to that. Christine, on the toaster, I like the indenter that has smiley faces on it. Makes me now. Yes, see, that would work, wouldn't it? Yeah, I've seen those. You press the little. It's a bit like a cookie cutter, isn't it? You press it into the bread to make a smiley face on it. You could do that with sigils and symbols, couldn't it? You could carve those in. I think that would work really well. A chain says, "I'm the dishwasher in our gaff." And to our lovely friends that don't understand our slang, gaff means your house, your home. We've got a 16-year-old son that's earning allowance. He has to wash up, which is why he's hoping and praying for the dishwasher to be fitted properly soon. Jenny talked about slow cookers on the podcast, asking if it's just a modern cauldron. Interesting. Yes, I did see that. And I shared the episode on some slow cooker Facebook sites and found a lot of witches hang out there. If you want to have a look at Jenny's fantastic podcast, it's called The Wheel Podcast. Do have a look over on the Facebook page. Lots and lots of interesting stuff on there. I did see your one about slow cooker. My new oven, my new cooker range, actually has a slow cooker oven in it, and it's fantastic. Really, really impressed with it. And I did see the suggestion the other day about using a slow cooker to melt resins. Someone made the suggestion, which I thought was a good idea. But yeah, the slow cooker, it's a bit like a casserole dish as well, isn't it? Casserole dishes, brilliant for cauldrons, particularly if you're on a budget, because cast iron cauldrons are quite expensive. If you look in the charity thrift shops, the Jazza shops, you can often find casserole dishes, Dutch ovens, I think you call them in America. Basically a fireproof dish with the lid on for really, really cheap. And you can use it as a cauldron. You can use it for, well, I tend to use my cauldron for setting fire to things because I like burning stuff. And it's health and safety again, because you need somewhere to chuck the things that are on fire. But charity shops are really good for that. But yeah, I think the casserole dish and slow cooker, definitely modern day cauldron, absolutely. Jill says, air in a dishwasher from the steam when it dries the dishes. Yeah, it's quite a combination, the dishwasher, isn't it? It's kind of all the elements in one. Yep, Leslie's agreeing. Leslie Ann, air is in the dishwasher until the water displaces it. Yeah, it is. It brings it all together, doesn't it? Yeah, Emma says slow cooker. I think it is slow cooker. It ties it in for me with casserole dish, so it does become a cauldron. Brilliant. Slow cookers are fantastic. Love them. Yes. Xenia, Eric is too long for the chair. I'm suddenly thinking of a chaise lounge chair. I have It has been considered, trust me. He's actually curled up now with his head on my lap, so he's made himself fit. Jane, I used to write bum with maple syrup on my pancakes. Bum is 78 calories. Okay. But actually, maple syrup and pancakes are very, very good for drawing symbols and sigils on. And of course, maple syrup and pancakes both carry their own magical energies. Jenny says the mini pestles were £2 from a school science supply catalogue. Brilliant. Who'd have ever thought of looking somewhere like that for magical tools? Brilliant. Good morning, John. The kitchen is a war zone in this house until April. All my seed trays take up the room for the night time, so I don't have to waste money on heating the greenhouse. The kitchen's empty during the day. Every year I'm forgiven, but doesn't stop the moaning. No, I wouldn't want them in my kitchen either, and I love gardening. Yes, we have just been sorting our seeds out, actually ready to plant in the greenhouse. Xenia, has anyone a washing machine in the kitchen? Maybe think of it as a portal to another dimension. I just had the idea because socks disappear there. Now, that's an interesting comment. We watched an awful lot of renovation shows before we had our house renovated, just to kind of prepare ourselves. And it seems to be quite a British thing to have your washing machine in your kitchen. I believe in America, most of you guys have them in your basements or your garages or on an upper floor. And actually, it makes far more sense to have your washing machine on the level where the bedrooms are, because that's where you take your clothes off and that's where you put the, otherwise you've got to take all the washing downstairs and take it all back up again. So actually, it makes perfect sense to me to not have it in the kitchen. We're very lucky. We've got a very tiny little utility room. So we've got them stacked, the washing machine and the tumble dryer. But it seems to be a British thing to have your washing machine in the kitchen. It's just one of those things, I think. But I do like the idea of it being a portal. It has generally got the round front on it, hasn't it? And yes, socks do disappear. And I use the washable makeup remover pad things, the material ones, rather than the cotton wool ones. So they all go in the washing machine and they get eaten as well. We also had the wool tumble dryer balls. They get lost as well. I had 6 originally. We're down to 3 now, I think. I'm not sure where they disappear either, she says, looking at Eric suspiciously. But yes, washing machine portal, I like it. I did write a blog about hedge riding a long while back now. I hedge ride. It's one of my favourite things to do. But I tend to prefer to use more modern ideas, i.e. the portal being the kitchen range or the oven door. So a washing machine would work really well as a portal. I like your thinking. I like your thinking. Yep, Maria says, using the cooker and cooking are all the elements together. Absolutely. The cooker is brilliant for making cake, obviously, and cookies. And you're into magical food then, aren't you? So you can use different ingredients that have got magical properties. You can draw things in the bottom of your bread or your pizza dough or your cookies, symbols, sigils. There's a whole wealth of stuff there. But yeah, the cooker has, it is a fire element primarily, isn't it? But it brings all of them together, doesn't it? I've got a fan oven now, so that brings the air into it. It brings all the elements together and it provides heat and does magic because you put things in that are all sloshy or raw and it comes out all cooked. Perfect. Jenny says, I also think our electric aids are an odd way to connect with the ancestors. I always imagine them looking down and saying, look at our daughter and see how she thrives. Yes. It must be very bizarre for them to see. But electricity is energy, isn't it? That is power. It is a whole force of energy all on its own. So anything that you plug in that uses electricity brings energy with it. Definitely. Sue says, hubby cuts the bread 1/2 inch at the top and 3 inches at the bottom. Barbara, chopping is my way to bring into my kitchen. Lots of getting the energy moving. Chopping's really good. It can, try not to do it when you're angry because it can be quite dangerous, but it is quite a good way of releasing negative energy when you're chopping things. It's that action, isn't it? I mean, Maria, the eater of socks. Yes. Eva says, camping stores have good cast iron pots. Oh, I never thought of that. Got a nice sized one with feet for pretty cheap. Excellent. Maria, chopping carrots when I'm angry. It is a good way of getting rid of negative energy. Just be careful that you don't chop your fingers. Good morning, Alex. Nikki's coming up with some good ones. Can opener. Well, you're opening a can, aren't you? I've got the phrase opening a can of worms springs to mind now. Whole kind of Pandora's box. But it is open. You could use it as a doorway opening, couldn't you? It is road opener. It's opening the door, opening the can to possibilities, to new ventures, new projects. Baked beans. Okay, I'm going to have baked beans on toast now. I'm really quite hungry now. Can opener. Yes, to me, that would be opening to new realms, to new possibilities. Definitely brilliant for that. And bear in mind, all of these things we've thought of, it involves a bit of visualization. It involves a bit of thinking while you're doing it. But you could also make spells or mandalas. I've seen brilliant mandalas made with things from the kitchen. So if you were working a road opening spell, you could use the can opener as the center point for it and work your spell from that. You don't actually have to use it. It's just symbolic of opening the way. I like it. Actually, my friend has hers in the bathroom. It blew my mind. I'm assuming we're talking about the washing machine here. Yes. It makes sense. It does. Yeah, it actually makes sense. It really does. I don't know why we have it downstairs. We have an installed stair lift. Great for taking washing up down the stairs. Eric needs a stair lift. He can get up the stairs. He can't get down. So that would be very useful for him. Jane found a sock in our washing machine's pump that wasn't even ours. Well, you are the sock queen, Jane. Maybe they gravitate to you. It's like, the looker after of socks. If it's a portal, things can come in as well as out. Maybe from someone else's machine down the road. Yes, you are a hub for socks. Random waif and stray socks. Nikki, in New Zealand, we have a separate laundry on the ground floor because we dry our washing outside the line. That's the thing, isn't it? If you do dry it on the washing line, it does make sense to have the washing machine downstairs. Xenia, I have my washing machine in the kitchen because my bathroom's too small and I have no spare room for laundry. I think that's probably why we do have them generally in the kitchen in Britain, because there's nowhere else to put it. Maria says this is why we're friends. We're all friends here because their brains all work the same way, Maria. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. They are. Xenia, super cool. Maybe you can get the machine delivering money to you too, as well as socks. That would be quite useful, wouldn't it? John, my toaster magic broke down for 2 months, no reason, was too lazy to replace it, so used it with the weight. That's not safe, John. They're definitely not safe. Of course, if you don't have a toaster, you could also put it under the grill, which is also good for things, for melting things, for merging things. Cheese on toast. Oh, I'm so hungry now. Cheese on toast. You could melt the cheese, so you could spell out something with cheese, put it on the toast and melt it. What are you whining for, eh? But grilling is very useful too, particularly barbecue grilling. I have talked about barbecue magic. I think there might have been in a Fate and Fortune article, actually. I will dig it out. Barbecue's really good for working magic too. Eve says, my steam oven combines the elements of fire and water, while the convection oven combines air and fire. Okay, I have got a steam oven in my new cooker, but I haven't worked out how to use it yet. But yeah, it certainly brings all the elements together, absolutely. Emma says, cookie cutters. I have one in the shape of a ghost, another as a witch. I have got some Halloween ones too. I've got a pumpkin-shaped one as well, which is brilliant. Great way to connect with my ancestors or my witchy self. Cookie cutters are brilliant for shaping magic, symbolic magic, definitely. And of course, you get to make cookies too, which is an extra bonus. Nikki says the gas hob is quite good for burning things, both intentionally or not, setting light bay leaves. Yes, gas hobs are also very good for lighting those little charcoal discs that are real gits to light. If you hold the charcoal disc in a pair of tongs and hold it over the gas flame, it does light quite successfully. Eve, induction stove, earth and fire. My new one is an induction hob. It is very, very sparkly and fantastic. I haven't worked out how to use it all yet, but definitely it brings all the elements together, I think, doesn't it? Jane, kneading dough. Yeah, magical food, definitely. It is. The thing with dough, though, and I hear you, obviously. Kneading is quite energetic, isn't it? But I don't think you want to put negative energy into your food. Be mindful that when you are cooking, baking, creating, if you are putting that releasing that negative energy into the food, then it's probably not going to taste very nice, or it might not work. So just be mindful. If a spread, the angrier you were, the bigger the loaf. I think it possibly would work the other way. That just be mindful of it. If you are releasing, make sure you release that negative energy out into the water down the sink or whatever. Oh, and the dog's gone. Hi, Cos. Don't watch me on the big TV. That's scary. Marjorie, I like my smoothie maker. Yes, I've got one. I had smoothie this morning. It whizzes my spells in a wild energy cone. It does, doesn't it? It makes a little vortex in the middle of it. Definitely. See, that is raising energy, but it's blending, isn't it? So it's blending things together, bringing things together. Definitely good for that. Maria, in my previous place I was in the bathroom, the washing machine. Yeah, I think the bathroom's quite a good idea for the washing machine. Excuse me. Tess, love my bread machine. When I do eat bread, it combines air, mixing, fire, electricity, water, salt, flour, excuse me, and water. Create something great from very little. Always think it's like a little conjuring machine. Yeah, I guess a lot of the machines are. Sorry, something set me off. Yeah, bread machines are very useful. That it brings lots of things together, doesn't it? Leslie Ann, in stores that stock aids for people with disabilities, they have boards you put bread on to slice with cutting guides. I didn't know such a thing existed. I think I need one of those. Now Eric wants to go out, so excuse me for a moment while I open the door. There you go. Just going to go bark at things now. Can opener, road opener. Yeah, absolutely. Charging the food inside the can with the goal, and then the can is open, the spell is done, and works its magic. Perfect. Love it. I do work with can and jars anyway. I think there's a blog somewhere on it. Any jars, any cans, you don't have to wash them up. Leave them with the food remnants in them and work with the magic of the remnants. So if it's a honey jar, you can work a honey spell with the jar, leaving the honey in the can of beans. You could leave the tomato sauce in there and work with the energy of tomato on it. So have a think about tins in particular, because they do work very well as kind of little witch bottle spells. Sue says, the Kitchen Witch School of Weird Ones. Yep, that's us. I'm proud of it. Oh, now there's a 1970s flashback. Fondue. Love magic, strawberry, marshmallows, chocolate, snuggling with your bugling. Are you all romantic, you? Fondue again it's another cauldron, isn't it? It's that cauldron shape. So whether you have melted chocolate or oil in there to cook your meat, or it's got that whole feminine cauldron energy, it's creativity, it's inspiration, isn't it? Ceridwen's cauldron was filled with the Arwen, which is inspiration and creativity, magic. So you can work with the fondue as you would a cauldron. John wants cheese on toast too. Yeah, that's going to have to be the second breakfast, definitely. Christine, yes, dough attachments in a mixer, heaven sent. Yeah, I do my dough in the mixer with the dough hook, definitely. But that, again, is another form, isn't it? You're bringing things together. You're building on the dough because you're stretching. You're creating the gluten, the stretch from it. So, yeah, there's a lot of sympathetic magic there. Yeah, Jane says, it's about your bread. Don't worry, the negative energy gets cremated in the oven. Absolutely. You finished now, have you? Talk about animals and children. Never work with them, honestly. Now I've got to lift the dog up. Come on, lift. Here we go. There we are. Happy now? Here we go. Xenia, the induction stove is like magic. The water gets hot immediately and one can take off the steel pot with bare hands. Yes, isn't that bizarre? That is some kind of witchcraft. I wasn't expecting that. First of all, when we used their induction hob the first time, everything boiled over because we weren't expecting it to heat things up so quickly. And then, yeah, we realised that you can put a pan on the stove, on the induction hob, with handles on it, and lift it off, and the handles don't get hot. It is definitely witchcraft of some kind. Definitely. Nikki gets a star for all the ideas today. The kettle. Yeah, or your electricity. So you've got fire, water, you've got the water element, steam. You're bringing a lot of the elements together again, aren't you? Particularly if you've got one that whistles. We've just bought one that you put on the hob and it whistles, which is really funky. But you're water again, aren't you? So for me, it's bringing in emotions, heating up emotions, releasing them with the steam. Yeah, there's definitely something to that from the emotion side and heating it up and working with steam as well, carefully, obviously. And of course, you make tea and coffee. So you've got the whole ritual ceremony of making tea and coffee that we talked about last week too. John says, bake some bread when selling your house as the smell is what the viewer remembers. Well, freshly baked bread is such a fab smell. Jenny says, everything I learned about Marmite jars I learned from you. I did a talk a few years back at Witchfest about magical food, and I brought a pot noodle with me and a Marmite jar. Now, if you are familiar with the Marmite jar, it is actually shaped like a cauldron. It's dark brown glass and it's shaped like a cauldron. It's actually called Marmite because of the shape of the pot. The Marmite is a French pot, which is cauldron shaped. And you can work so much magic with it. It's jar magic again. You can use the basis of the jar to work all your witch jar spell, witch jar, witch bottle spells in. So Marmite's really good and represents cauldron. It's about thinking about things from a different perspective, like looking at your wooden spoon and thinking, actually, that would work really well to represent the element of earth because it's wooden. Or looking at your vegetable peeler and thinking, actually, that's going to release energy. So I can work it finished. So I can work a spell for releasing energy. It is about looking at each item and thinking, what can I use that for? And I'm having a look around. We've done chopping boards. Knives, obviously, for chopping. Done that. Wooden spoons. Done that. Everyone's got salt in their kitchen, I'm assuming. So that's obviously really good for releasing, for negative energy, for protection. Toaster we've done. Cooker we've done. Fridge and freezer, obviously, really good for freezer spells, for cooling things down, cooling situations down. If you've got someone with a hot temper, lost their temper, write their name on a slip of paper and just pop it in the fridge to cool them down. If you want to stop someone from causing grief, put their name on a slip of paper, pop it in the freezer, and then you've got the freezer spell to stop them from causing any more trouble. So fridge and freezer are very good for that. Microwave's really good if you want to do what we call simmering pots. You can use them on the cooker as well. Create your incense blends, but pop them in water. If you don't want the smoke, put them in a pan with some water and just let them simmer for a bit. You can do the same in the microwave, and it fills your house with a nice scent. That can be used for cleansing the house as well, cleansing any energy in the house. What else we've got? Sink. The sink is cauldron shaped again, although ours is square, but it's square cauldron. Very much water element, but you can work all sorts of magic in there. Washing things, dropping things, releasing things, washing things down the plug hole, although please be careful from a biodegradable, eco-friendly point of view what you put down the sink. Kettle we've done. Jug, I've got a couple of jugs out on the side. There's a carry-on film joke in there somewhere. But jugs, again, cauldron-shaped, linked to the element of water. They can be used for all kinds of spell work. But it is about looking at something and thinking. Jane says, brew some proper coffee and have a vase of red flowers in view. I have got red. I've got cyclamen over there in the corner. Tess was at Witch Fest. I remember that talk. Yeah, I still get given pot noodles now, which are nasty things. But it just shows you can work magic with anything. Anything at all. Even the sole of an old shoe that you find you can work magic with. Christine, Eric just reminded that a dog in the kitchen brings in so much love magic. Yes, when they sit there trying to hypnotise you for things out of the oven. Jane says, I used to have more transgressors than food in my freezer. Yeah, you do need to have a clear out of your freezer every so often from people that you've frozen in there. Not literally people that you've frozen in there. I do hope you don't have any bodies in your freezer. But they are very good for protecting yourself from people hurting you. John says, glass paste pots are a great size. Anything, jars, jugs, anything like that can be used in magic. Brilliant. Xenia says, apart from them, I have wool clothes and feathers in the freezer because I'm afraid of the moths coming back if I put these things out again. Actually, feathers in the freezer is a very good idea. If you find any feathers or are gifted any feathers when you're out and about, if you pop them in the freezer for a bit, it kills any of the mites or the nasties that might be on them. I've never put wool clothes. I must admit, I don't have real wool clothes because they shrink in the tumble dryer and they make me itch. But if you want to put them in the freezer, go for it. But I think it's thinking about cutlery, spoons and forks. Spoons again, knives, forks could all be used to direct energy. They can all be used as you would a wand or an athame. A knife could be used for spreading. So if you wanted to stop someone spreading rumours, you could use the knife in a spell to reverse it. Fork is used for stabbing, pricking things, stabbing things. It's about thinking about what it corresponds to in your head and in your mind and what magic you think would work with it. Spoons, feeding. So if you want to feed and nourish your soul, your spiritual energy, you could use a spoon as a representative for that kind of magic. It is literally about thinking about what these items mean to you as a representative of the magic or a correspondence of the magic. Barbara says, let us not forget our brooms. Absolutely. Besom, broom. It's for sweeping out negative energy. It's for it's for cleaning, isn't it? It's for cleaning, clearing negative energy, for removing things. Brilliant. Leslie Ann, tend to use a big tin in a pot full of water as a double boiler. Absolutely. Yeah, big tins are really useful for that kind of thing. John says, put the feathers in a bag. Yes, you don't want to be putting feathers just next to your food in the freezer. Do make sure that they are covered first. Jenny, a friend makes lovely spells on wooden spoons. I had some, I was gifted some wooden spoons that are all pyrographed with different images, different witchy symbols. They're brilliant for using for that kind of thing. You can make your own and put your own symbols on them. Would be brilliant. I like it. Xenia, a fork. Now the dog's digging at the mat. Fork, fixing and pin down something into place, like a furber being used to pin down demons. Absolutely, I like it. Leslie Ann suggesting putting cedar in with your clothes. I'm assuming to prevent moths. Very useful tip. Thank you very much. Jane, my broom is called Orlando and he's from the Ukraine. He's very handsome. I like it. I like it. Definitely. Vanessa, mini wooden spoons can be used as poppets. Yes, they could. Any kind of wooden spoon would work really well as a poppet, or even a little rolling pin, or chopsticks work very well. 2 chopsticks crossed and tied would make a good poppet. But you can make poppets out of all sorts of things. Carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes, they're all brilliant for making poppets out of too. Whatever you've got to hand, really. But magical food is a huge subject. So next time you're in your kitchen, have a look and see. I'm looking around again, see if I've missed any. Plates, cups, bowls, mugs, they've all got magical use. Jenny, one year we made bridie dolls out of wooden spoons. Brilliant. They work really well as spirit dolls, as poppets. Fantastic. So have a look in your kitchen. And have a look, when you're eating your dinner or making your dinner and thinking about what sympathetic magic, what corresponding magic, any of the items could be used for. There's a lot there. There's a lot there that you can work magic with. It just takes a little bit of thinking outside of the box. James's moths hate lavender too. Tesco's Lavender Dreams or air freshener is great. It's got woody, spicy notes. It reminds me of Glastonbury High Street. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Claire says an old school egg timer. Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's all about time, isn't it? If you need a bit of extra time, then an egg timer would be brilliant to work into the spell. So thank you, everyone, as always, for joining me. Sue's off to look for the other half of her bagel. It's an offering. It's a sacrifice. It's gone. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I will try and remember what day of the week it is next week. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always. Do enjoy your kitchens and your kitchen magic. And I'm... Eric's very vocal. Take care, everyone, and have a fantastic weekend.